I'm going to go ahead and zoom into our select county that we're going to be focusing on, and that's Marion County. And I can do that by going ahead and zooming to the Indianapolis neighborhoods layer. Okay. And what you can also do is you can change the order here. So we see Indy neighborhoods, I can move it up to the top. And so seeing how now that Indy neighborhoods is now covering everything. If I want to maybe move it down so it's not covering up everything, cool, that's great. For the purposes of this map, I'll go ahead and turn off the dark gray base and the state layer. For the county layer, I don't want all the other ones there. I just want Marion County. Alright, if I go ahead, I'll click on this particular attribute, and so it's now been selected, and so it's got some information here. So eventually we'll get so here's some specific information about Marion County. So its state FIPS code is 18, its county FIPS is 097, and so that makes its GOID 18097. Alright, so that's important. So I want this particular number, so I'll go and copy of 18097. Alright, so go over here to now map. I'm going to select by attribute. So what I'm going to do is I want this particular county file, and I want to select from it and create from it a new file. So I got all those counties. I want just the one I want. Several different ways you can do it. One way is to do it this way. So if I go to that GOID is equal to, if I paste in that number 18097, apply, and OK. And if I go ahead and I'll now right click over here, so you see how that's got that teal line, that means it's been selected. So anytime you see teal, it means something's been selected on your map, on your ArcGIS Pro map. And so if I go ahead and I'll right click here, and I say overwrite, selection, make layer from selected features, and so I'd have a new, so I can go ahead and I'll get rid of that one, that old one, and so I have that new selection, so I can go ahead and get rid of, so I'll right click, remove, and so now I just have Marion County highlighted. And I'm going to change the name of this selection. I'm going to right click on that, and you can go to properties, and I'm now going to call that Marion underscore county. Okay, so I got Marion County. Alright, so now we've essentially what we can do is we can now have our geography here. That's why we did this whole process of getting Marion County separated. So now we've got this area, this polygon, in which we want just the ones inside of it. We want to get rid of all of these out here. Few different ways we can do that, just like with the attributes, just like we showed beforehand. But I'm going to this time select based on location. And so here, I've got my input features, I got those dots, and so I could choose either recreational facilities or religious centers. And so recreational facilities, I want those that are completely within our selecting features being that new Marion County layer, and from this I want to create a new selection, and so hit apply and OK. And so now we have these dots, and these are particular ones that are only within Marion County. So if I go ahead and I go to our recreational facilities selection, make layer from selected features, remove, and so now I just have the ones that are located in Marion County. So I'm going to replicate this for religious centers. Alright, so we'll go ahead and just to keep things clean, go ahead and change the name. Religious Centers Marion, and recreational facility Marion. and I can remove the other ones that I do not need. Okay, so we don't really need Marion County anymore, but I'm just going to turn it off. So now we have our dots. And so here we have our next step, our next challenge is to, okay, let's try to find and create a choropleth map, a map that shows different values for different neighborhoods. So neighborhoods that have high numbers of religious facilities are going to be colored a certain color, and ones that are low are going to be colored a different color. And so to do that, we need to essentially think of this, okay, what we're trying to do is we have these polygons and we have these dots. So all we're trying to do is count the number of dots that are inside each of these individual polygons that we call Indianapolis neighborhoods. Or another way we could do is what we could do is actually, instead of turning Marion County off, which is probably for cartography reasons, make it a little better to have a nice dark outline for the county. And so that's what I'm going to do there. So I just essentially change the symbology to a hollow. It's invisible inside it and creating a black outline on the outside to kind of create a nice border around our particular selected area. Now I want you to go up to Analysis, and you should see the Tools icon there. Go and click on that. That's how another way we can get to the geoprocessing pane. Keep in mind we can also do it here. It's another way. And so here's where we can find some tools, and so the portal, toolboxes, and favorites are all things we can do. So favorites will be some commonly ones that you use over the course of the semester will be added there. Go and click on toolboxes. We're going to cascade the analysis one, overlay, and then go down and select spatial join. What we're going to do is we're going to essentially try to get our cookie cutters, our neighborhoods, and we're going to cut and capture the dots, those particular religious centers. And so our target features are going to be the Indy neighborhoods, and we're going to join with them whether our particular religious facilities or recreational. In this case, I'm going to do religious centers since it's on top. So change the name here, change the name. We're just going to Indy religious, so REL neighborhood. So neighbor. So that's a shorthand way to remember that. Keep all features and run it. Alright, and so here we get a green check mark, and so whenever we run something and you see these positive things, green check marks, spatial join completed, all of that, that means it's good. So oftentimes when you come across an error and you want to send me something that shows me information, screenshots, this is great. Sending me this kind of stuff that shows me, okay, what's the details? What is it telling you as far as the thing? It's maybe a red X or a yellow exclamation point or something. This is very helpful for me to kind of understand, okay, what's going on, what's happening. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this new particular data set. So I'm going to right click on it, open up the attribute table. Let's take a look at it. Do we see anything cool? Yes, and so now that I joined, so what I did was, once again, I joined the neighborhoods with those religious centers. And so now they are one particular attribute table, one particular file here, in which they've been joined together. Now they have to have something in common, and of course that's their location here in Marion County. And so they've joined together. Notice we have this join count. That join count is essentially telling me the numbers of religious facilities, because this is just religion only, I'll do recreational next, that are in each of these particular neighborhoods. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to replicate this for recreational facilities. I'm going to go ahead and close out things so I can have a better view of what I'm looking at. So turn off the religion one, turn off all the other ones there. Alright, indirect neighbor. Okay, so I've joined him, and so make sure that I see that count, join count, and I do. Okay, join count, it's been populated. Always want to do that whenever you're joining stuff, that it might say, might got the green check mark. Make sure that your data is doing what you want it to do. Alright, and so we have now, we are almost ready to now show the values. And so to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the indirect neighbor, or whichever one we want, these newly created files. I'm going to start off with the indirect neighbor for comparisons, and then symbology. And here now you're going to do this this drop down box and go down to graduated colors, and we're going to base it off of the field. We're going to base it off the field, that join count field. And so from here, what it does is then breaks down the classes, and so the number of colors, the variation of colors, and you can change your scheme. So you can use, let's say, a grayscale. So that's kind of opposite we traditionally think. In cartography, we think of darker being higher value, lighter being lower value. So that would need to be reversed if we would want to use that particular scheme. So I would choose that one would be better. So darker has higher values. If I want to maybe have more variations, I could have 10 classes. And so of course it's showing me some common patterns in terms of where we find these types of things. We find them often where people are, but we don't find them, it looks like, in the southern part of the county. So the southern neighborhoods look like they have a lack of recreational facilities compared to these other places on the east or in the more downtown areas. So here, I can change around. This is where you can get creative in terms of being a cartographer and coming up with what you think looks the best, what shows the best data in terms of the number of classes. And we'll talk more about this in a cartography class, but we've really tried to stay around 7 to 10, 5 to 10 classes. We never want to get too wonky, getting up here in the 32s, although it does probably show good would be useful for showing patterns, but it does get a little too many there. Alright, and so that's the recreational facilities. I'm going to replicate this for religious facilities. And not much difference, is there? If we look at the little bit difference there when we compare, looks like the religious facilities are a little bit more centralized. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the next step in terms of publishing this information.